There is a moment coming, a final moment, the last tick of the cosmic clock, the end of everything, not just stars, not just galaxies, not just matter itself, but time. The very fabric that holds existence together will unravel, and when it does, there will be no witness, no memory, no record that anything ever was. This is not a story about destruction. This is a story about something far stranger, the slow, inevitable, and utterly complete erasure of reality itself. We live in a universe that is dying. Right now. As you listen to these words, the cosmos is bleeding out into darkness. Stars are burning their last reserves of fuel. Galaxies are drifting apart, faster and faster, until they vanish beyond the edge of what we can ever see. The universe is not collapsing in fire. It is fading into silence. And at the end of that silence lies something we cannot fully imagine. The end of time itself. But what does that even mean? How does time end? We experience time as constant, flowing, inevitable. Seconds become minutes. Minutes become years. We age. We remember the past. We cannot touch the future until it arrives. Time seems as fundamental as space itself. And yet, physics tells us something deeply unsettling. Time is not what we think it is. Time might not be fundamental at all. It might be an illusion, an emergent property of deeper laws. And if time is not eternal, then it can end. And it will. The universe began in fire. 13.8 billion years ago, everything that exists burst into being. Space itself expanded faster than light. Matter condensed from pure energy. The first atoms formed. The first stars ignited. Galaxies swirled into existence, and time began. But beginnings imply endings, and the ending of the universe is not a mirror image of its birth. It is something far colder, far stranger, far more final. Most people imagine the end of the universe as a catastrophe, an explosion, a collapse, something dramatic and sudden. But the true end is nothing like that. The true end is a process so slow, so gradual, that it makes the age of the Earth seem like a single heartbeat. We are talking about timescales that dwarf human comprehension. Timescales where 1 trillion years is barely the opening act. Let us begin with what we know. The universe is expanding. Not just expanding, but accelerating. This was discovered in the late 1990s, and it shocked physicists to their core. Something is pushing the universe apart. We call it dark energy, but that name is just a placeholder for our ignorance. We do not know what it is. We only know what it does. It stretches space. It drives galaxies away from each other. And it never stops. This means the universe will not collapse back on itself. There will be no big crunch, no cosmic rebound. Instead, the universe will continue to expand forever, growing larger and colder and emptier with each passing eon. This is called the heat death of the universe. But that name is misleading. It is not a sudden death. It is a slow fade into absolute zero, a universe where all energy has been exhausted, where nothing can happen anymore, where time loses all meaning. But even heat death is not the end of time. It is merely the end of change. And where there is no change, time becomes irrelevant. But can time exist without change? This is one of the deepest questions in physics. And the answer might be no. Let us walk through the stages of this cosmic death. Right now, we are living in the stelliferous era, the age of stars. Galaxies are filled with light. Stars are born, live and die. Planets orbit. Life exists. But this era is temporary. It will last for perhaps 100 trillion years. That sounds like forever. But in the lifespan of the universe, it is an eye blink. Stars burn hydrogen into helium. When the hydrogen runs out, they burn helium into heavier elements: carbon, oxygen, iron. But fusion has limits. Iron cannot be fused to release energy. When a star's core turns to iron, fusion stops. The core collapses. The star dies. Massive stars explode as supernovae. Smaller stars, like our Sun, swell into red giants and then fade into white dwarfs. Tiny embers, slowly cooling over trillions of years. As time passes, fewer and fewer new stars are born. The gas clouds that form stars are consumed. The galaxies grow dimmer. One by one, the lights go out. Eventually, the last star will flicker and die. The universe will enter the degenerate era, an age where only the remnants of stars remain. White dwarfs, neutron stars, black holes, and darkness. But even these remnants do not last forever. White dwarfs will cool into black dwarfs, frozen spheres of carbon and oxygen, radiating no light, no heat. Neutron stars will cool as well, becoming invisible. And yet, even in this darkness, something strange will happen. Matter itself will begin to decay. Protons, the building blocks of atoms, are not eternal. Quantum mechanics predicts that protons will eventually decay into lighter particles, positrons, photons, neutrinos. This process takes an unimaginably long time. The half-life of a proton is at least 10 to the 34 years. But given enough time, it will happen. And when it does, the atoms that make up planets, dead stars, and everything else will dissolve into radiation. This is the black hole era, a universe where only black holes remain, slowly evaporating through a process called Hawking radiation. Stephen Hawking discovered that black holes are not truly black. They emit a faint glow of thermal radiation, losing mass over time. The larger the black hole, the slower this process. A supermassive black hole, millions of times the mass of the Sun, will take 10 to the 100 years to evaporate. That is a 1 followed by 100 zeros. A number so large it has no name. A number that makes the current age of the universe seem like a fraction of a second. But even black holes will eventually fade. And when the last black hole evaporates into a puff of radiation, the universe will enter its final state, the dark era, a universe of photons and elementary particles spread so thin that they will never interact again, a void so vast and so empty that nothing can ever happen. No structure, no complexity, no life, no thought, just scattered photons, drifting alone through infinite space, cooling toward absolute zero. And here is where time ends, because time, as we experience it, is tied to change, to events, to cause and effect. In a universe where nothing changes, where no particle ever meets another, where energy is spread too thin to do work, time becomes meaningless. The equations of physics still exist, but they describe nothing. The universe has not stopped existing. It has stopped happening. Yet even this may not be the final state. There are deeper possibilities, darker possibilities. One of them is called the Big Rip. If dark energy grows stronger over time, the expansion of the universe will accelerate beyond all limits. Eventually, space will expand so violently that it will tear apart galaxies, then solar systems, then planets, then molecules, then atoms, then even the nuclei of atoms, and finally, space-time itself. Reality will be shredded into nothingness. Time will not fade. It will be violently destroyed. Another possibility is vacuum decay. Our universe exists in what physicists call a metastable state, like a ball balanced on a hill, stable for now, but capable of rolling down into a deeper valley. If the quantum fields that permeate space are not in their lowest energy state, they could suddenly collapse into a lower state. This collapse would create a bubble of true vacuum, expanding at the speed of light, destroying everything in its path. The laws of physics themselves would change. Atoms would cease to exist. Time as we know it would be rewritten, and we would never see it coming. One moment, existence. The next moment, nothing. Not death, erasure. But let us assume the universe follows the most likely path, the slow heat death, the fading into darkness. Even then, we are left with the strangest question of all. What happens to information? Physics tells us that information cannot be destroyed. This is a fundamental law, as deep as the conservation of energy. Every event, every particle interaction leaves a trace. But in a universe that has reached maximum entropy, where everything is uniform and cold, where is that information? Is it still encoded somehow in the structure of space-time? Or does it vanish, violating one of the most sacred principles of physics? This is the black hole information paradox, but on a cosmic scale, and no one knows the answer. If information truly cannot be destroyed, then even in the heat death of the universe, there must be some remnant, some ghostly imprint of everything that ever was. But if information can be destroyed, then the universe is truly erased, not just ended, deleted, and this brings us to the most profound question of all. Does the end of time mean the end of existence, or does something lie beyond? Some physicists believe the universe could be reborn, that quantum fluctuations, given infinite time, could spontaneously create a new Big Bang, a new universe, a new beginning. This is called eternal inflation, or the cyclic model. The idea is that universes are constantly being born and dying, like bubbles in an infinite foam. Our universe is just one bubble, and when it ends, others continue. But there is a problem with this idea. If time ends in our universe, there is no after, no moment when a new universe can be born. Time is not a universal backdrop. It is a property of our universe. When our universe ends, its time ends. There is no external clock ticking away, waiting for the next universe to start. The end of time is absolute, unless time is an illusion. This is where physics becomes philosophy. Some theories suggest that time does not truly exist, that it is an emergent phenomenon, like temperature or pressure. At the deepest level, reality is timeless, a static, four-dimensional block where past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. We experience time because of the way our brains process information. But fundamentally, nothing is actually flowing. If this is true, then the end of time is not the end of existence. It is simply the end of change within our particular universe. The four-dimensional structure of space-time still exists, frozen and eternal, containing every moment that ever was. Nothing is lost. Nothing is destroyed. It simply is. But this raises another question. If time is an illusion, then what is real? What are we? Are we four-dimensional structures stretching from birth to death, experiencing time only as a psychological artifact? Or is there something more? Consciousness complicates everything. We do not just exist in time. We experience it. We remember the past. We anticipate the future. We feel the passage of moments, and we do not know why. Neuroscience can explain how brains process temporal information, but it cannot explain why there is something it is like to be us. Why we are not just information processing machines, but beings with an inner life. And if consciousness is real, if it is not reducible to physics, then perhaps it survives the end of the physical universe. This is pure speculation, but it is a question that haunts anyone who thinks deeply about the end of time. Does awareness require a physical substrate? Does it require time? Or could consciousness exist in some form beyond the heat death of the universe, experiencing reality in a way we cannot fathom? There are theories at the edge of physics and metaphysics that suggest consciousness is fundamental, that it is woven into the fabric of reality itself, not an emergent property of complex matter. If this is true, then the end of the universe might not be the end of experience. It might be a transformation, a shedding of physical form, leaving only pure awareness, eternal and unchanging. But we do not know. We cannot know. We are beings trapped in time, trying to imagine what lies beyond time. It is like a character in a novel trying to imagine the world outside the book. The author, the reader, the library. All of it is beyond the scope of the story itself. And yet, we try. Humans have always tried. For thousands of years, we have told stories about the end of the world, Ragnarok, Apocalypse, Judgment Day. But those stories were about moral endings, about justice or destruction or rebirth. The true end of the universe is none of those things. It is impersonal, inevitable, and utterly indifferent to us. This is both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it means the universe does not care. Everything we build, everything we love, everything we struggle for will eventually be erased. Not just humanity, not just Earth, but every star, every galaxy, every trace that anything ever existed. The universe will forget us completely. But it is also liberating, because it means we are free. Free to create our own meaning, free to decide what matters. The universe gives us no purpose, so we make our own. We love, we create, we explore, we ask questions we may never answer, and we do it knowing that it is temporary, knowing that the cosmic clock is ticking down, and somehow that makes it more precious. Consider the scale of what we are discussing. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Human civilization is perhaps 10,000 years old. Recorded history is a tiny fraction of that. Your life is a fraction of that fraction. And yet, in that infinitesimal slice of cosmic time, you are here, aware, thinking, feeling, experiencing this moment. The odds of this are staggering. The precise conditions required for life, for intelligence, for consciousness, the billions of years of cosmic evolution, the formation of our sun, the Earth, the emergence of life from chemistry, the slow march of evolution, the survival of your ancestors through ice ages and disasters, the precise chain of events that led to your birth. All of it is so improbable that it seems like a miracle. And yet, here you are, a temporary pattern of matter and energy, briefly aware of itself, contemplating the end of all patterns, the end of all awareness, the end of time itself. This is the paradox at the heart of existence. We are insignificant on a cosmic scale, and yet we are the universe experiencing itself. We are the way the cosmos comes to know its own existence. Without us, without consciousness, the universe would simply be a vast mechanism running its course with no one to witness or understand. But we are here, and we do witness, we do understand, at least a little. And that makes us significant, even if the universe itself does not care. The end of time is not something to fear. It is so far in the future that it is almost abstract. Trillions upon trillions of years from now, long after humanity is gone, long after the sun has died, long after the Milky Way has collided with Andromeda and formed a new galaxy, long after every star you can see in the sky has burned out, the universe will continue. Change will continue. And then, eventually, it will stop. But we will never see it. No one will. By the time the universe reaches its final state, there will be no one left to observe it. No consciousness to mark the moment. The end of time will happen in absolute solitude. A universe dying alone with no memory that it was ever alive. And perhaps that is the most haunting thought of all. That existence itself is temporary. That the universe is not eternal. That there was a beginning and there will be an end. And in between, a brief window of complexity. A moment where matter organized itself into stars and planets and life. A moment where the universe became aware of itself. And then, silence. But even if time ends, even if the universe fades into darkness, even if every particle decays and every black hole evaporates, and reality itself becomes a cold, empty void, there is something that remains. Not physically, not in any measurable sense, but conceptually, mathematically. The fact that it happened, the fact that the universe existed, that stars burned, that life emerged, that consciousness arose, that someone somewhere asked the question, what happens when it all ends? That fact is eternal, not within time, but outside of it, a truth that transcends the physical. The universe existed, and that truth can never be unmade. This is where science touches something almost mystical, the realization that existence itself is a kind of miracle, not in a religious sense, but in a deeper sense, that there is something rather than nothing, that the laws of physics allow for complexity, for structure, for life, for thought. There is no reason the universe had to be this way, and yet it is, and we are part of it. We are made of atoms forged in the hearts of ancient stars. We are patterns of matter that have learned to think. We are the universe's way of understanding itself. And even though we are temporary, even though we will fade just like everything else, we are here now. And that is enough. The end of time is not the end of meaning. Meaning is something we create. It does not exist in the universe. It exists in us, in the connections we make, the ideas we share, the love we give, the beauty we create. These things are not eternal in a physical sense, but they are real, and they matter, at least to us. And perhaps that is all that matters, not cosmic eternity, not physical permanence, but the lived experience of being, the subjective reality of consciousness, the fact that, for a brief moment, you are here, aware, experiencing, questioning, and through that questioning, touching something infinite. The universe will end. Time will end. But the fact that you existed, that you thought, that you felt, that you wondered about the end of all things, that is a truth that echoes beyond time itself. Not literally, but conceptually. In the space of all possible thoughts, your thoughts exist. In the space of all possible experiences, your experiences are real. And maybe that is the answer to the question we have been circling. What happens when time ends? Nothing happens, because happening requires time. But the truth of existence remains, eternal and unchanging, not within the universe, but as a fact about reality itself. The universe was, and that is enough. We have journeyed from the birth of time to its death, from the Big Bang to the heat death, from stars to black holes to the final, cold darkness. We have seen that time is not eternal, that the universe is not forever, that everything we know is temporary. But we have also seen something else, that in this temporary existence there is beauty, there is meaning, there is consciousness, and that is extraordinary. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, if you find yourself drawn to the deepest questions of existence, subscribe for more explorations into the mysteries of the universe. Not because you need to, but because wonder is one of the few things that makes us truly human. And in a universe destined to fade into darkness, wonder is the light we carry. The end is coming, but it is not here yet. And until it arrives, we have time. Time to ask questions, time to seek answers, time to marvel at the strange and beautiful fact that we exist at all. The universe will end, but we are here now, and that is everything.